the Eternal Tournament
And
Series.
we definitely see Tony not willing to even block with that Champion of Cunning. Doesn't want to risk it. Welcome back, everybody. We are jumping in few turns ahead in the matchup of iReedMinds versus Skunkwitch. iReedMinds, obviously, a very talented player. Skunkwitch, a little less familiar. Gabe, are you familiar with them?
No, I haven't actually heard of Skunkwitch. I'd have to actually look through some of the other deck lists from some of the other weeklies to see if he's played in them. But yes, I don't recognize his name, but he's on a classic deck that I do recognize. That's for sure.
And that would be Combray mid-range, and Skunkwitch is on Rakano Plate. So both of these, this is a pretty interesting matchup. I personally feel like it's in, like, just on paper, Plate is probably favored. So however, given board state, not so much.
This is a classic and timeless matchup. Combray mid-range / Big Combray versus Rakano Plate. He's even playing Righteous Fury. He's a throwback to the past right there. Generally, Combray is favored, right? We've played this matchup a million times. The resident Rakano expert, Unearthly, has deemed this to be one of his worst matchups. Sandstorm Titan is just very difficult to deal with for Rakano, and Combray has cards like Harsh Rule and Vanquish and a million silences, approximately a million, right? I'm good at counting. Those are all things that Rakano does not want to see. Harsh Rule and Vanquish are like some of the best cards versus Harsh Rule, Vanquish, Sandstorm Titan, and Silences are like the best cards versus Rakano.
Yeah, that's completely fair, and I probably should have looked at the list before I opened my mouth. But yeah, we do see 4 Sandstorm Titans, 4 Valkyrie Enforcers, and then 4 Desert Marshals. So all of those fun little effects that you had mentioned. Ooh, well, that's not the worst in the world. All right, so that's a giant char chain flail coming down to get rid of that Mystic Ascendant.
Yeah, so we don't have Skunkwitch's hands, but unless he's cheating and playing some card that's not in his deck, it's looking pretty grim for him. I think Reed is going to close this out, but there are still a few interesting things to talk about this matchup. So Reed is actually the there's no bias here, by the way. SPG is not a thing. I'm definitely not on it. But anyways, Reed is the Season 2 Invitational Champion, and he told me before this tournament he wanted to play his Season 2 Invitational deck list, the full 90 cards, as his last hurrah for Season 1, and that is what he is doing. This is the deck that he won the Season 2 Invitational with. It's a bit outdated, but, you know, he just wanted to give it one last go before he says goodbye to the old set 1 meta.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It definitely, it looked very familiar because I'm pretty sure I stole this from Reed at one point. So, yeah, the 2 Vanquishes in hand, not doing much. Harsh Rule, not doing a ton, but I guess the 3/5 gets to go in.
But it makes it so that Skunkwitch had no outs because his out was like, okay, maybe I play a giant plate. Oh, wait, gets vanquished.
Yep. Yeah. And with Reed's life total, it was very difficult for Skunkwitch to actually be doing anything. So we are going to be jumping into a game 2 with Reed taking the win there.
Yeah, so we can get to watch Reed's sideboard here. Let's take a look at his sideboard really quickly.
Yeah, and
Reed's, he has 2 Protect, which I don't think are coming in. Awakened Student and the extra 2 copies of Vanquish are both very good versus Combray. Awakened Student just being another early unit to play. Marison's Disciple and Great Parliament both have some merit to them, as well as Reality Warden. Just Reality Warden perhaps lowering the curve over Mystic Ascendant. Mm-hmm. Great Parliament being a flyer. Flying blockers are very useful. And Marison's Disciple for kind of the same reason, as well as the Deadly unit. But I don't think Marison's Disciple comes in. I don't think there's anything that he really wants to cut. How do you
feel about this decay? Right, it's life gain and potentially a combat trick.
I'm really not hot on Decay or Ruin versus Rakano, but I think maybe 1 is fine. It's dead in a lot of situations. Like, you'd much rather just remove the unit that the thing is on, right? But if you're already running 4 Vanquish and 4 Harsh Rule, I suppose an extra Decay is not too bad. So it looks like he is looking to cut Martial Ironthorn. That's like the biggest thing that he cut. And he also, he's not bringing in the Reality Wardens. He is bringing in the Students and the 4 copies of Vanquish, though.
It looks like he took the Students out, and it looks like he's taken the Disciples out too. He brought them in, and now they're kind of gone. Now the Students are just gone completely from the deck. Okay. And then what do you like out of the sideboard for Skunkwitch? The sideboard that I'm looking at is 4 Finest Hour, 3 Protect, 3 Ruin, 2 Rebuke, 1 Soulfire Drake, and 2 Stone Scar Maul. I really like the Finest Hours here.
So I really like Protect. I really like Soulfire Drake. Finest Hour. It's really awkward, right? You want 4 Vanquish. You really, as Rakano, you just want to kill Sandstorm Titan and then not care about their blockers. That's usually the plan. But he is running like a decent amount of ground units. And he's also running. Oh wow, I was only running 2 Hammer of Might, and he's also running 3 Rune Hammer. Rune Hammer is really awkward versus Combray.
Yeah. I have to imagine those Rune Hammers are getting to. I don't know. I like the Finest Hour just because trade a little bit better.
Rebuke potentially has some merit just for pushing in damage and
that's fair.
Silencing. It's another engine of Sandstorm Titan.
Yeah, the silence and the stun that you get from Rebuke. Yep.
Yeah.
Are we saying that right?
I believe it's Rebuke personally. That's my personal belief, and that's how I'm going to say it.
Fair enough. All right. Rebuke. That's all right. We're getting official word. It is Rebuke.
And that's why I was so confident.
So we've got we are going to see them in the game. There's a Charge Chain Flow coming down for 3 from Skunkwitch. Skunkwitch just trying to get as much damage as possible. iReedMinds, very powerful hand, a little slow though, a little slow. Starting next turn.
Okay, he's got double Harsh Rule and he's got Mystic Ascendant to close the game out. Drawing that Seraph was pivotal in this game because otherwise he was going to be taking 5 damage here, which is really bad. Leaves him open to just dying to a flyer later.
All right, and Skunkwitch though already getting 2 War Cries. We're not going to be able to see anything from Reed, at least given his current hand. Next turn, I guess we do get to see the Harsh Rule come down. Yeah,
but that's at least a card, you know.
it's mild. I would argue mild on this board.
Yeah, would you say 2 for 1 is good value?
I shoot for like a 6 for 1, or I don't bother casting it. Yeah.
I think that's fair. I mean, Harsh Rule is barely a card. If you're not getting at least 6 units with it, you're not winning that game.
So this is an interesting line or interesting turn for Reed, right? So you could Harsh Rule if you're worried about Skunkwitch actually playing all of the different weapons. But you are at 18, so you can take a hit like this, and then you have the Vanquish to be able to kill whatever he actually does.
Yeah, exactly. He elects to Harsh Rule. Okay, so I think the reasoning here is that Skunkwitch has 2 cards in hand, right? He's probably not playing 11 units next turn. So he wants the more power efficient card left in his hand so that he can more likely play Vanquish and Desert Marshal in the same turn or something like that.
That makes a lot of sense. And I also like not running out Mystic Ascendant there, actually playing the Seek Power in order to make sure for your turn 7 that you're drawing and getting at least some sort of value off of your Mystic Ascendant. This also means that Mystic Ascendant he's going to even have to have a Vanquish. Okay, which he does. But Great Parliament going to be able to make 2 Owls next turn.
Yeah, which is very good. And I think it's very likely that Skunkwitch had the Vanquish, which is why he held back the Mystic Ascendant. Because when Rakano is holding cards in hand and not being able to do anything, it's very likely that it's a Vanquish with no targets.
Yeah.
Or weapons, but you know.
For sure. But Skunkwitch is at 8 power and is somebody that's played the Rakano plate deck a lot. That's generally enough to play a unit and a weapon in the same turn.
Yeah. So I wanted to actually. This match happened very quickly, but I want to talk a little bit about Skunkwitch's game plan to win this game. He doesn't have he doesn't have Tinker Overseer, I don't believe. He doesn't. He does. The sideboard, right?
Yeah, no, he's got 4 in the main.
Okay, he's got 4 in the main. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, he's just running a lot of 2-drops. Okay. Okay. Oh yeah, he's just not running Crown Watch about it. Okay, so I think his plan was to go all in on the Flyers. Didn't work out because Owls are pretty big, and Reed had a very good draw with double Harsh Rule. And Skunkwitch did not have another threat to play besides that Rakano Outlaw for a while, which really set him back, and he just didn't have a weapon to put on it either. But I definitely think the plan was to focus on getting Flyers set up, ignoring Combray healers, and just, silencing and vanquishing stuff. But yeah, that'll be 2 games in a row for iReedMinds with the classic season 2 Combray deck.
And it seems to be treating him decently well so far today. And it looks like we are looking.
3-0.
Yeah, which is decent. Again, we're not try to keep things in perspective. Don't want many big heads, but but yeah. So we are looking for a backup match. So and you're gonna have to listen to whether you like it or not. To Gabe and I kind of riff back and forth for a little bit, and then we'll be moving on to either a backup or we'll take another quick little break because these rounds have been moving very, very quickly.
Yeah, and I would like to just say Skunkwitch, definitely not, entirely out of luck here. He's still 2-1, very impressive record. Rakano is a solid deck.
Yeah,
he's still got a lot going for him.
Since Jito Queen was eliminated and RIP Jito Frontier Jito, Rakano plate is definitely my deck of choice for ranking up ladder.
Well, that sounds like an issue.
Really? Why do you say that?
I take issue with you playing Rakano.
Well, I'm sorry. It's a quick, it's a nice deck. Gets games over fast. You're going to win or lose with it by like turn 5 generally, and you can just get. It's got a roughly 60 or like I would say 55-60% win rate. So you just you can go. Yeah,
I feel very strongly that Stone Scar is the superior aggro deck because it has shadow cards, and shadow is the best faction.
Yeah, but not when you get to play a bunch of units with Aegis, and
Shadow
then
is the edgiest faction, and your opinion is invalid.
Well, this makes me feel, loved and valued and wanting to be around and stuff. It's okay. You should know better. As soon as I get to master, then it's just complete garbage from then on out. So your level number 10 rank is safe. I could have shot for it, when I was at 12. But it's fine. It's fine. Maybe who knows? Maybe next season we'll see who's in the top 10 and who's not. How about that? How about that, Gabe?
Yeah, sure.
And
let's see. What matches do we have going on? Let's take a look at the tournament standings right now. We have level 13 David. We have level 13 David and Tony G sitting at 3-0. So we have a backup matchup that we're going to go to. We're going to have childroland versus, let me find, Necroci, I believe. Let me take a look at what decks those are. So
and it's going to be
a Chalice
mirror match.
So that's why that deck, that match is still going on, if anyone was wondering.
Also, I'd like to say, Jinx, pinch, poke, you owe me a Coke.
Soda's bad for you, buddy.
I'll take a Diet Coke. Maybe like Split. Actually, I'll take a LaCroix Cola. How about that?
Well, that's just obnoxious.
Whoa, it's delicious. All right, I'm sticking my pinky out right now. I will go get one. I will drink it, and the effervescence will make my mouth feel alive again, like it hasn't for a number of years. Not sure where we're going with that.
Yeah, let's take a look at Roland's TJP list. So he is not running the list that Team Eternal Titans, I believe, Eternal Titans, right? That was Sarius and Manu's team. They were running Auric Runehammer in their Chalice list to try and combat Burn. He has taken that out. Let's see. And what is Necroci on? What's his build of Chalice? So we're getting into the stream now.
Yep, and it looks like I'm looking at the two. All right, so we have the stream pulled up. That is a board state.
Oh
hey! My! So there's some owls, and then there's some other owls, and then there's a 4/7 owl.
There are a few owls. Decay is pretty good in this position, except for the Aegis and the fact that I believe Necroci has two chalices. Two chalices out.
All right.
Which game are we on? And who has won?
We should have confirmation of games here in just a second. But this is this is a heck of a board. Can Necroci just swing in and win here?
So if he swings with everything, he trades a bunch of owls.
Next.
Okay.
All right. So it looks like childroland is ahead.
Yeah, this is game 2. So he would be taking 10. Yeah, if he had one more unexhausted unit. Okay, permafrost I think is lethal, but the decay is going to be able to remove the permafrost at fast speed,
Yep.
which could potentially allow, or is going to allow Child Roland to live through this turn.
Yeah, and importantly too, it's going to gain him 3 life right now. Oh,
Never
well.
mind, he's just dead.
Hey, that's a backlash.
Even if he had lived through that turn, though, I think he might have died because he didn't have favorable blocks at all, right? There's all these 4/7s over there.
For sure.
It was looking pretty bad.
At least you have the out though of drawing Harshwell without your opponent
That's
having
true.
backlash.
That's true.
So that's why like it would have been important, and that 3 life actually would have made a difference because it puts him a little bit higher buffer, especially since a lot of the units coming into the Chalice, at least initially, are kind of tiny. Whereas if he was at like 1 to 3 life, maybe Necroci just puts a ton of units in play, right? Instead of trying to chalice them, just trying to get into the next turn and get into the next damage.
Yeah.
Whereas if he's got that little extra life, if he's like 4+ life, then he's got to sit there. Of course, you have to play around Channel the Tempest, but that's why it's very interesting. Everybody, because Chalice is such a slow deck, I feel like a lot of people kind of discount it. But once you get in that 9 life range, you have to be very worried about just getting one-shotted.
Yeah, definitely.
So it looks like we're going to be moving into game 3 now. Both players tied up 1-1. Child Roland's hand a little slow, unfortunate, unless he draws a sigil off the top, where the Eileen's favor will give him that sigil, but he's still going to have to play the seat in order to be able to do that. Oh, all right. So there's a seek power. That's going to give him a sigil.
Yeah, and both these players are at 1-1 in their Swiss records, so they're kind of playing for their chance in top 8. I think the loser here is going to have a really, really rough time winning back in. I don't think you can still go 4-2 and potentially make it, but I don't think that their breakers would be amazing.
No, not with the losses as early in the tournament. Now, I mean, like to be fair, the other people that they could have lost to could go on undefeated and their breakers are fine.
Yeah.
Just playing the odds as somebody that has grinded a few GPs and SCGs. It's probably not likely.
Yeah. So, Necroci is playing. Oh, okay. The Sandstorm Titans are in the board. I see. I was gonna say Sandstorm Titan is a card that I think Chalice has wanted for a long time. Just because it's very soft to flyers, but it's also very good in the mirror, just because it's very difficult to deal with, and it has endurance, and it lets you play the game that Chalice wants to play, which is just playing units and dirtling around while still, pushing some damage and eating through the opponent's blockers, which nets them less cards because they can't, Chalice to draw cards off those now removed blockers.
Now, I actually like the permafrost coming down on the Amber Acolyte. The reason being, I guess that it's one less unit that he gets to draw off of.
Fair.
If he plays the Chalice, because so he can play Chalice here and then activate it on if he had it, he could play Chalice, play a power, and then activate it on the Amber Acolyte. And so he's going to get rewarded by being able to do it on the Lumen Defender here. But I don't think it was out of the realm of possibilities just to fire that off on the.
I think his biggest concern is just finding an answer to the Sandstorm Titan, which he's now made a blocker that's able to deal with it. And he's going to go ahead and permafrost the Lumen Defender. So it should be fine.
Yeah. I definitely agree. It's just like, I guess my line of thinking, Sandstorm Titan wasn't going to be doing anything that turn anyway. It shuts off, you save 2 points of damage, or you weren't going to be able to do anything about the Sandstorm Titan, rather. Well, and that's a permafrost coming out from Necroci. It's a play for play here, and that's going to be another 7 getting in.
So Roland is just trying to stall until he can cast his channel, because he's going to be swimming in card advantage. He's the one with Chalice in play, and he's got that channel. So he's just really trying to draw power, make his power drops the next 2 turns, and survive, and then just drown Necroci in card advantage.
And we see an answer to Sandstorm Titan coming into play there with that Scorpion, which is going to be pretty good. If Necroci's got a way to answer that Scorpion, it gets less good, but at least now this is going to stop the attacks.
Yeah,
the Aegis,
I don't think Necroci minds that at all. It's like he got in damage. It was just like a bonus, right? The damage from Sandstorm Titan is just a bonus, because they're he's trying to do the same thing. He can stall out, and now that he's got the damage pushed in, like he gets to just leisurely play owls when he wants and take his time building up the board and like be in charge of attacks and blocks.
Yeah, which this also does lead to a pretty interesting quandary. If Necroci actually does play Great Parliament, makes a ton of owls, you almost want to start shipping in. Like if you have that line coming up, you almost shipping in with your Sandstorm Titan so that it dies. That way it frees up the air and the owls can just fly over.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you don't mind losing the Sandstorm Titan once you have a bunch of Parliaments. So Roland getting to 8 power first, but Necroci, now that he has the Chalice and he's only 1 power away, like this could very quickly rain down. There could be a lot of owls on this board very quickly.
Yes, there could be. Yeah, because right now he can get up to, just by what's in his hand, he's at 10 power. Oh, actually, he's at 11.
Well, you can see Roland not playing or not attacking with the Wasp. I mean, because of the Temple Sky, but also potentially because of Desert Marshal being played end of turn.
Yeah, and just wanting to save as much. This Aegis, I feel like, is actually doing a lot of work.
Yes, Aegis is actually very important against Chalice because it stops the Channel of Tempest lethals.
Yes, so if Necroci can find a way to pop that Aegis, I feel like Necroci's in a pretty good spot, at least, especially now given the board parity. But it's on him to actually be able to do that.
So I was actually Necroci answered a question for me right there. I was wondering if players had left in harsh rules and what the merits are. What are your opinions on leaving in harsh rule versus taking it out in the Chalice mirror?
Oh, I like it 200% because you're gonna get high power totals anyway. And granted, this worked a little bit against Necroci, but I love the old harsh rule and then play Great Parliament for 3 owls, swing next turn play. Where obviously Necroci harsh rolled here and had the Great Parliament played against him, but it looks like he did have the Sandstorm to follow it up.
Plan for sure.
Yeah,
backup plan.
I think it's a nice way to clean up the board. So I would leave it in if it was me personally.
Yeah, so I think I'm a little split. I think I'm more on the no harsh rule side. The merits to harsh rule are obviously numerous, right? It's a pretty good card. So he's playing a few decks, but I think that not having harsh rule in your deck and your opponent having harsh rule in their deck puts you at a slight advantage because you have 4 more cards that do things on the board, right? You have 4 more cards that like you can hit with Chalice or whatever. You have 4 more cards that you really want in the matchup, and you just let your opponent harsh rule the board, you know?
Yeah, that's definitely fair. I'm just looking at the list. So Child Roland definitely. So Child Roland might actually take out his harsh rules because he does have a ton to bring in. Looking on Necroci's side in terms of sideboard, I guess you get to bring in all the great Oh, he's got 3 of his Great Parliaments on the board. Huh.
I guess he thinks it's a bit too slow, perhaps, versus what he might be against.
That's fair. Yeah, I guess if you're preparing for an act.
You always play it on 4, though. I don't know. That card is very good.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So I take that back. I guess they both actually have a good chunk to bring in. I was originally thinking that Great Parliament was only a 1 of in the sideboard for Necroci, but I feel like you want all of those in this matchup. At least in the mirror.
Yeah.
All right. So
who has more Channel of Tempest in their deck right now? Let's see.
I believe it's a 3 and 3.
It is 3 and 3. Wow, they both have exactly 3.
Yeah, Necroci playing 3 in the main board, Child Roland playing 2 in the main and 1 in the side.
Which means that Necroci has 3 more, or has 1 more in his deck currently.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, so this is I don't know, this is gonna be an interesting game. Like the aggro player in me just wants to just start shipping in because you do have this Chalice engine going and you're playing 2 creatures a turn, you're drawing 2 cards a turn, just try to chip as much as possible.
Yeah,
Obviously, here's a pretty
I
good.
like this silence here. Yeah, I like this silence here a lot. Also, interesting is a nice word for Chalice mirrors. You know.
I coming from Magic, I was the person that played Chalice of the Void and Ensnaring Bridge, so I am
Lantern Control.
Oh, no.
No?
Nothing that good. Nothing that good. All right. So here's this great Parliament coming down for 3. We don't
Three
see
owls.
backlash, and you see Child Roland mousing over the Wisdom of the Elders, but unfortunately, even if he were to draw into backlash there, he's 1 power short. So this is excellent from Necroci. It is actually a very good thing that Sandstorm got away, and that's kind of why that was kind of my logic behind Harsh Roll too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's got a Child Roland's got a Wasp, so it's not guaranteed dead, and he's also got
he's got 2 healers and the Wasp, so he's not. While Necroci is threatening lethal in there, he has 12 damage. We know it's not going to come through, right?
Yeah, and also the Lumen Defender that was picked up there. That's another 5 gain of life. So he's got 11 life in his hand, and he's going to be able to block one of the.
Yeah, the other thing is Necroci has to make blocks here because he is also.
Yes. And that stand together, so he has to block with all 3 units. If he doesn't, I believe he's dead.
Yeah, and if he's blocking 3/3s, they're going to trade after the stand together.
Yes, they will. All right. I'm enjoying. I'm back on Child Roland's side.
Yeah. I think there was some merit to playing Lumen Defender or Combat Healer, but pre-combat, so it gets hit by the stand together. But it's not super important.
Yeah, but if you play it before combat, right, then you let your opponent swing back and kill you. Whereas this way, it might incentivize them not to block with all 3 units this way.
That's true. That's true. Also, the other thing is, then you let him know that you have the health. That's true. Also,
exactly.
If you play healer first, you put it out of range of Chalice. So there's definitely wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah. So, all right. So, yeah, we're just going to go ahead and see this. We're going to see Child Roland go up to 16 off that Lumen Defender. We're going to see Lumen Defender get hit by Chalice. It's going to be bumped up to a 3/7. A card is going to be drawn. That card was another Lumen Defender. So, I'm liking Child Roland's spot here. Yeah, if we see a Harsh Roll come down, then it's something else. But, yeah.
I think Roland is in a very good position. He's got 2 Chalices, and he's got a lot of units to draw for them. We don't know what Necroci has. Okay, so he has Marison's Disciple, which is very good in this spot with 2 Chalices.
Yeah, it's a shame that Child Roland doesn't actually have another power up to be able to play this Wasp just to start like, poking in the air.
Oh my goodness, that'd be rude.
Oh, I just straight aggro. Just get him. Just get him.
Classic Scorpion Wasp aggro.
Yeah. But I would not be surprised if we see him play it on his turn though and buff it. Right? Because it's a 2-turn clock.
Yeah, that's
fair. It depends on how aggressive he actually wants to be.
Yeah, if he goes for the ambush play, like he's still waiting, and it's not actually being able to attack that turn because of Chalice anyway. So he's just wasting a turn by doing that if he plans on chalicing it first. So he's got another Parliament there. And oh my goodness.
And wow, the swings on this game. I've actually been normally tune out a little bit on the Chalice mirrors. I've been thoroughly pleased with what I'm seeing here.
I think we're getting some insight as to how we got to that board state last game.
Yes, I would 100% agree. I kind of...
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, wow. All right. I kind of actually want the other Combat Healer play to make the Scorpion a 4/10 because it almost guarantees the 2 points of damage through. I guess I would like that play a lot more if I had Backlash in hand, right? Because if I have Backlash in hand, then that puts him down to 2, and it's almost guaranteed that you're going to be doing some fun things.
So, Necroci needs a Harsh Roll.
Yes.
Or some number of Backlashes to deal with these Parliaments, and an answer to Desert Marshal. Yeah,
unfortunately, Harsh Roll is not even going to do it, though, because there's another great Parliament in Child Roland's hand. So Harsh Roll just sets... Child Roland up for the win.
Yeah, I'm not in the game, so I can't go through Necroci's Void. I'm not sure how many Harsh Rolls he's played, but he would need something like 2 Harsh Rolls and a Desert Marshal to get out of this.
Yeah, I believe he has played only 1 Harsh Roll. But I mean, there's also the question of how many Harsh Rolls are actually left in, right? So there's a Vanquish.
Will do the job here.
Okay. Oh, all right.
Actually pretty reasonable.
Yeah, that channel ends the game. Yeah. All right. And there's that Backlash.
Right on time.
Wow. All right. Yeah. So that was a game. Child Roland's going to take it 2-1 in the Chalice mirror match. So
Yeah. So I think so. That was our last round, or that was our last game of this round. But there's a lot to talk about there, right? There was a lot going on in both of those games. Um, I think a big part of why Roland was able to take that game was him not drawing harsh roll. I think it's very possible he took it out, like I said. Um, yes, he got into some sticky situations there, but he was drawing more relevant cards as the game went on.
yeah, and like, yeah, that's what, like, maybe it is, like, on the flip side though, like, right, harsh roll was the only way for Necroci to actually get back in the game. A couple of those spots, because again, I'm 90% sure there was only harsh played, so it didn't actually have. It wasn't like they were like chaining them back to back. Yeah. I'm honestly mixed. I would have to. I'm not familiar enough with the deck and the mirror match specifically to really want to like commentate on it. But I have to imagine that there is some value. Maybe you want it if you have like the full play set of Great Parliaments, just to be able to wipe the board, play the Great Parliament, and then.
I think harsh rule loses a lot of value just in that, like, even if you have parliaments, you can just play parliaments, and then it's a board stall, and you don't need to harsh rule. You can just stall, and if your opponent still has harsh rules in their deck, then that's fine. They get sick of your board stall, and they harsh rule you, and they are down a card on a board that you probably weren't doing very much anyway. I don't know. I think it's fair to not have harsh rule.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely seem to have paid off in that round. I guess what I'm trying to say is I wouldn't fault a player for keeping them in, and I wouldn't fault a player for removing them.
Yeah. I think the biggest, the two most important cards in that matchup, in that mirror, are Channel of the Tempest and Backlash.
Yes. Right? Yeah. And I would argue
Great Parliament.
Well, Great Parliament. I would also argue Eileen's Fate does a lot of work in that matchup in a very subtle way. Because like
not that subtle when you're facing down the channel itself, but yeah.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying. You get what. When am I getting my Coke, by the way?
So talking about that, some interesting things going on in the two decks that we just watched. So Necroci only has 3 copies of Chalice. Oh no, he has 4 copies of Chalice. He only has 3 copies of Wisdom of the Elders, right? Which is another important card in the matchup. He doesn't have another one in the board. It would be an awkward card to have on the board. But
both lists are actually only running 3 Wisdom of the Elders.
Oh, yep. Okay. Thanks for pointing that out. I think
Child Roland has
running the island's favors.
Yeah, which is actually, I think, so there's 2 in the sideboard for Necroci.
Oh, okay, there they are.
2 in the main for Child Roland. So look at the biggest difference that I'm noticing. Necroci has 1 more Sandstorm Titan. They have Child Roland has 1 more Scorpion Wasp. Across the 90. They're both playing Lumen Defender. Backlashes that are 2 of. There's 1 less Permafrost in Child Roland's deck.
Yeah, he's only got the 3.
Or in the main board, at least. Yeah.
Oh, no. They both have 4 across the 90.
Yes.
And they both have the 2 decays. They both have, how many stand-togethers?
There's 1 in the sideboard for Child Roland, and I think that's it. I think there's only the 1 stand together.
1 across all 180 cards there.
Yeah.
I think stand together was very good. We saw how powerful it was against Necroci there.
Yeah. All in all, a far more entertaining match than I actually thought it was, or that I thought it was going to be when I heard that it was going to be the Chalice Mirror.
The Chalice Mirror, yes.
Yeah. I finally understand what what's some of the other commentators have said. Yeah. So that was.
You won't catch me playing Chalice on ladder anytime soon. But control mirrors can be very interesting. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I guess what I was going to say, related a little bit of Magic, is I finally understand what Cedric and P. Sully were talking about when they said that they enjoyed the Miracles matchup.
I I see.
Yeah.
That's not something I'm super familiar with. I'm not as familiar with MTG, especially Legacy before the banning of Top.
Wow. All right. So you're familiar with Legacy for like a month.
Yes.
Nice. Oh, so quick aside. Have you gotten a chance to download the mobile app yet for Eternal?
Download what?
The new mobile app for Eternal?
No, I have not. And I don't know that I will because my phone is old.
Fair enough. I will say for anybody in chat that's wondering, put it on iOS. Got it finally. Looks really crisp. It looks really, really, really good. Really, really good. So if you haven't gotten it, I would definitely run it and grab it off of the App Store. And should be good. You could play in the ETS from your phone. You could be sipping a Mai Tai on a beach, poolside, playing in the ETS. You are on the beach and poolside. That's how person about town. You're a worldly person at that point. Yeah.
I mean, you have to go outside to do that. I don't know.
Fair enough. All right, so that's going to end our round. We will be back shortly with round number 4. So everybody, please stay tuned, and yeah, we'll talk to you guys then.